$3,000 a month, 7 animals, no land, no barn, and 0 prior experience required. Here is what most people never find out. Not one animal in this video requires a livestock permit. Not one triggers an agricultural zoning restriction. The federal government classifies several of them as pets. One is a game bird, and that single federal classification puts it completely outside the poultry and livestock codes that shut down most suburban income ideas before they start. That legal gap is not a technicality to argue over. It is a formal federal classification that most city zoning ordinances were never written to cover. It exists, it is documented, and it is wide enough to build a real income operation through. By the end of this video, you will know which animal to start first, which one to add second, and exactly how they feed each other to cut costs and compound income month over month. That system reveal is at the end. The animals come first. Every income figure in this video is attached to a named operator in a named state with a verified monthly gross. A homesteader in Wisconsin, a seller in Knoxville, Tennessee, a seller who runs 30 cultures from a closet in Austin, Texas. This is not projection. This is documentation. Number 7, Coturnix Quail. If you live in a city that bans chickens, this is the animal that makes that ban irrelevant. Under federal law, Coturnix are classified as a game bird, not poultry, not livestock. Most suburban and city zoning codes that restrict chickens were written specifically about chickens. They do not mention game birds. That gap is not an argument you have to win with your city council. It is a federal classification your city council does not have the authority to override. A homesteader in Wisconsin runs 150 birds on a rotational cage system in 12 square feet of total floor space. 12 square feet. That is less than the footprint of a standard dining table. Monthly gross from that operation, $750 to $1,100. Monthly feed cost, $45. The margin between those two numbers is the reason this operation exists. The income runs across 3 separate product lines from the same cage. Eating eggs sell at $6 per dozen. That is the floor. Hatching eggs from the exact same birds sell at $12 to $24 per dozen. Live chicks sell at $3 to $5 each. The Wisconsin operator built a hatching egg-first sales model and doubled monthly gross without adding a single bird. Same feed bill, same cage, same labor hours, double the income. First income arrives at 6 weeks from setup. Startup cost runs $150 to $300. The biggest mistake is selling only eating eggs at commodity prices. Hatching eggs deliver 4 times the per dozen revenue from the exact same production you already have. The next animal has a federal classification that will stop you mid-sentence. The government considers it a companion animal, the same category as your neighbor's dog. Number 6, meat rabbits. Under federal law, rabbits are classified as companion animals, not livestock, not poultry. The same legal category as dogs and cats. Home processing is legal in most states without USDA inspection because a rabbit is not legally an agricultural commodity the way a chicken or a pig is. That classification removes the barrier that shuts down most backyard meat operations before the first dollar arrives. A 12-doe rabbitry in eastern Tennessee runs $1 and 12 does from a converted shed. Monthly gross, $600 to $800. Monthly feed cost, $40. First income arrives in 31 days from the day the operation starts. No other animal in this video has a shorter time to first dollar. 31 days from setup to income. The revenue comes from 3 channels. Processed meat sells at $10 per pound. Pedigree breeding stock sells at $60 to $150 per animal to homesteaders who want to start their own operation without raising from newborns. Rabbit manure sells at $10 to $25 per bag to organic gardeners who specifically seek it out. Rabbit manure is one of the only fertilizers that goes directly onto garden beds without composting first. Most fertilizers need weeks of curing before they can touch a plant without burning it. Rabbit manure does not. Gardeners who know this will find you. Startup cost, $300 to $500 for cages, feeders, and breeding stock. The biggest mistake is breeding before buyers exist. Rabbits multiply fast. Lock in one restaurant, one farmer's market slot, or one standing buyer before the first litter arrives. The sales side needs to be ready before the production side starts moving. Number 5 will make you rewind this video. 3 plastic storage totes stacked on a laundry room shelf. $600 to $900 a month. Number 5. Dubia Roaches. 3 plastic storage totes on a laundry room shelf. That is the entire operation. A seller in Atlanta, Georgia runs exactly that setup. Monthly gross, $600 to $900. Monthly feed cost, $20. Dry dog food, oats, and vegetable scraps from the kitchen. The income arrives through a standing monthly purchase order from a local exotic pet store that buys every nymph he produces. Dubia roaches cannot survive outdoors in most U.S. states. They require sustained temperatures above 70 degrees Fahrenheit to reproduce. That biological fact gives them a clean regulatory status in most of the country. No invasive pest classification, no livestock classification, no poultry classification, no permits required. The buyer pool is the reptile hobby, and it is larger than most people realize. Bearded dragons, leopard geckos, chameleons, and blue-tongued skinks all require live feeder insects as their primary food source. Dubia outperform crickets on every measure that matters to that buyer. 22% higher protein content, no sound, no odor on dry substrate, and they cannot climb smooth plastic, which means no escapes. Pet stores prefer them for that reason alone. Startup cost, $100 to $120 for adult breeding animals and totes. The biggest mistake is buying young nymphs to save money. Nymphs take 6 to 12 months to reach breeding age. Buying adults means income in month 1. One note, dubia are illegal in Florida and a few other warm climate states where the outdoor environment could support a colony. Confirm your state before starting. Number 4 has 6 separate income streams from a single hive, and most people only ever use one of them. Number 4, honeybees. The USDA does not classify honeybees as livestock. Most U.S. municipalities allow hive placement in residential zones without a permit or variance. An Ohio operator runs 8 hives and averages $8,000 per year, which works out to $660 every month across the year. 6 income streams come from a single hive. Honey at $10 to $15 per pound. Beeswax candles at $22 per unit. Nucleus colonies at $225 each, sold to other beekeepers starting their operations. Queens, propolis, bee pollen on top of that. Nucleus colony sales are where the real leverage lives. 1 nucleus colony sold equals the revenue of roughly 20 pounds of honey. Most beginning beekeepers sell only honey and work 20 times harder than they need to. Startup cost, $500 to $800 for 2 hives and basic equipment. 2 hives is the correct starting scale, not 1 and not 10. 2 hives let you compare colony health side by side, catch problems early, and complete 1 full learning season before deciding to expand. The one thing to hear before starting. The 2024 to 2025 U.S. beekeeping season recorded the highest annual colony losses ever documented. 55.6% of all U.S. colonies, according to the Apiary Inspectors of America. That is not a scare number. That is a planning number. Budget to replace approximately half your colonies annually. Operators who factor that into their math stay profitable year over year. Operators who treat startup as a one-time cost get blindsided in year 2. The biggest mistake is scaling to 10 hives before completing 1 full season. Learn the full cycle first, expand after. 4 animals, no land required, no barn required. Here is the math. Quail in Wisconsin, $750 to $1,100 per month. Rabbits in Tennessee, $600 to $800. Dubia roaches in Atlanta, $600 to $900. Bees in Ohio, $660 per month average. 4 animals. Combined monthly income range, $2,400 to $3,500. Before we get to the 3 that operate entirely from indoor spaces smaller than most bedrooms, number 3 does not generate income the way the first 4 do. It cuts the cost of every other animal on this list while building a second revenue stream from material you were going to throw away. Number 3, black soldier fly larvae. A Georgia operator runs this on waste from his other animals. Monthly feed cost, $0. The larvae eat manure, kitchen scraps, and organic material the rest of the operation produces as waste. Monthly value generated, $300 to $500 across 2 channels. Dried larvae sell at $8 to $15 per pound to poultry keepers and reptile breeders. Frass, the processed byproduct that remains after the larvae finish working through the organic waste, sells as premium fertilizer at $2 to $5 per pound to organic gardeners. The USDA classifies the black soldier fly as a beneficial insect, not a regulated pest species. No permits required. No livestock classification. No poultry classification. Legal in every state in the country. The contribution that matters most to this system is not the direct income. Running a BSF bin fed on quail manure and kitchen scraps cuts commercial feed costs for quail by 25 to 40%. The larvae that come out of that bin become free high-protein feed going back into the quail cages. The frass becomes free fertilizer for any garden or grow operation on the property. 2 output streams from material you were already managing as waste. Every other animal in this video becomes cheaper to run once this one is added. Every other animal in this video becomes cheaper to run once this one is added. It is infrastructure. Position it as a cost-cutting layer that generates a secondary income stream from frass. Number 2, grosses over $1,000 a month from a spare bedroom on 20 minutes of daily work. Number 2, mealworms. A seller in Knoxville, Tennessee runs 22 stacked bins in a spare bedroom. Monthly gross, $1,100. Monthly material cost, $60. Daily time, 20 minutes. No livestock classification, no zoning restriction. Legal in every apartment in the country, including buildings with the strictest pet policies, because mealworms are not pets and they are not livestock. They occupy a regulatory category that almost no income-generating animal ever reaches. Completely unclassified by any government body. The buyer pool is wide. Live worms sell at $5 to $12 per 100 count to reptile owners and fishing bait buyers. Dried worms sell at $15 to $25 per pound to bird feeder enthusiasts and backyard chicken keepers who use them as a protein supplement. Frass from the bins sells at $2 to $4 per pound to organic gardeners. 3 separate buyer categories from one operation in one room. Startup cost, $40 to $80 for starter cultures, bins, and bedding material. First sellable product arrives at 60 days. After that, the colony self-replicates. The Knoxville seller has not purchased new starter culture in 3 years. The operation restocks itself from existing colonies at 0 additional cost. The most critical rule is temperature. Below 70 degrees Fahrenheit, mealworm reproduction stops. A $30 space heater on a thermostat protects a 4-figure monthly income stream. The biggest mistake is skipping that heater. The colony stalls in winter and the income stops with it. Number 1 operates from a closet smaller than a standard linen cabinet. $1,400 to $2,000 a month. 0 feed cost. Number 1, Isopods. A seller in Austin, Texas runs 30 cultures from a space that fits entirely inside a single closet. Monthly gross, $1,400 to $2,000. Monthly operating cost, under $40. Feed cost, 0. Isopods eat decaying leaf litter collected free from any yard, any park, or any pile of fallen leaves. The income runs across 3 tiers based on rarity and documented genetics. Standard varieties sell at $10 to $20 per starter culture. Mid-tier morphs like blue velvet and orange sell at $30 to $60 per culture. Premium varieties, the ones that serious terrarium hobbyists build waiting lists for, sell at $80 to $200 per culture. The Austin seller earns top-tier prices across multiple varieties because he documents the genetic lineage of every culture he sells. That documentation habit is what separates a hobbyist posting on Etsy from an operator running a consistent waiting list with buyers who follow his work specifically. The regulatory classification is clean. Isopods are classified as beneficial crustaceans. 0 regulatory category as livestock or pest anywhere in the country. No permits for keeping or selling domestically raised cultures. The market is the terrarium hobby. Every bioactive reptile enclosure requires isopods as a biological cleanup crew. That demand is structural and growing. Bioactive builds have moved from niche to mainstream in the reptile hobby, and every new keeper who goes bioactive needs isopods permanently, not as a one-time purchase. Startup cost, $100 to $350 for 10 to 15 starter cultures, containers, and substrate. The biggest mistake is overwatering. Isopods require a moisture gradient inside every enclosure, one wet end and one dry end. Uniform moisture causes a mold bloom that destroys an entire culture inside 48 hours. This is the only animal on this list where becoming more knowledgeable about the hobby directly increases what each unit sells for. That characteristic is rare in any income system and worth a great deal to any operator who takes it seriously. The Wisconsin quail operation produces manure. That manure goes into a black soldier fly bin at zero cost. The larvae that come out of that bin go back into the quail cages as a high-protein feed supplement, cutting the $45 monthly feed bill by 25 to 40%. The frass from the bin becomes finished fertilizer for any garden on the property. The quail are now cheaper to run. This cuts the $45 monthly feed bill by 25 to 40%. The frass from the bin becomes finished fertilizer for any garden on the property. The Tennessee rabbitry does the same thing. Rabbit manure feeds the BSF bin. Larvae come back as feed. Frass goes to the garden. Manure that was a disposal cost becomes an input that reduces expenses across the entire operation. The Atlanta Dubia Roach setup produces spent substrate as waste. That spent substrate is ideal bedding material for isopods. The $40 monthly operating cost in Austin can be reduced to near zero once a roach operation is running alongside it. Roach waste becomes isopod substrate at no additional cost. The Knoxville mealworm operation produces frass faster than local retail buyers can absorb it. That excess frass becomes a premium feed supplement for the quail. The quail produce organic waste that feeds the BSF bin and the mealworm substrate. The system loops back into itself. Combined gross from all 7 animals at mid-range scale, $4,200 to $5,800 per month. Combined feed and material cost after internal waste cycling, under $200 per month. Net monthly income, $3,500 to $4,800. Infrastructure required, a garage or shed, a spare closet, a spare bedroom, and a small outdoor run. No farm, no barn, no acreage. That is the full picture. 7 animals whose waste becomes each other's input until the cost structure of the entire system collapses down to almost nothing. The compounding only works when each layer is profitable before the next one is added. One gear at a time builds a machine. Everything at once builds a crisis. Start with isopods. Startup cost under $350. First income at 60 days. Operating cost under $40 per month. The inventory grows in value as your knowledge of the genetics grows. No other animal on this list has that quality. As you develop expertise, the price of each culture you sell increases without adding any equipment or space. That is your first move. Once the isopod operation is generating consistent monthly income, add Dubia Roaches. Your spent isopod substrate becomes Dubia bedding at zero cost. A standing order from a local pet store creates predictable monthly income. That standing order funds the next step. Step 3 is mealworms. By the time that operation comes online, the Dubia and Isopod setups are already in the market, and your mealworm output can feed directly into those existing buyer relationships. 3 income streams from 1 spare room before you have touched a single outdoor animal. From there, add quail. Then the BSF bin alongside the quail to begin closing the waste loop. Then bees when you are ready to add an outdoor system. Each layer that enters this system makes the layer before it cheaper to run. That is not a theory. That is the waste loop working exactly as it should. Drop a comment right now and tell me what space you are actually working with. A shelf, a closet, a spare room, a backyard run. Every situation has a different answer. And don't forget to grab your free 1-page cheat sheet in the description to plan your first move today.